And I'm going to turn it over to Professor Christine.
Thank you very much. Well, let's get ahead right through a quick bio break before we start. So, welcome. Thank you for your service. And this is an opportunity, a tiny little snippet. I teach a fully online program at MSU Mankato. And when I'm not teaching, I travel all over the country and work with community colleges and other organizations who help train future entrepreneurs, whether they're 16 or 66. So what I thought we would do today is we would go through and just give you a little bit of a connection point on how this new veterans work can help. And by doing that, I want to also kind of bring you through some tricks of the trade here. So, as you can see, entrepreneurship is a process. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to bring up my colleague, Lisa Kinsey, who we taught together at Dakota County Technical College, just down the road here, and who is my colleague in an organization called Promise Education, which is a partner with GBI. So I want you to think about your entrepreneurial journey as a continuous process. Strategy, opportunity lies everywhere, but you have to be a leader and you have to have a passion for what you do. If you are in it just for the money, you will not be successful. You may look successful on the outside, but inside you won't be successful. I was so glad that the general brought up some entrepreneurs who really have heart. You know, that's really where it is. And so when you put that passion together with people, you become co-creators. And co-creation is where the real value lasts. And so what I thought we would start to do today, let's see. I am on. Let's unpause this. There we go. And I want you to have a sense of how, from research we know, how ideas become a business. You might say, we're in financial planning. Like, how can this be? We already know this business idea. But really, there are 4 pieces that I want you to remember because you're going to do them over and over and over again. It's what's going to give you the edge. So the first one is problem. The second thing to remember is people. The third is knowledge. And finally, process. You're going to do this over and over like an unending loop. And so let's talk real quick about problems. So every great business, whether it's a franchise, whether it's a kitchen table business, whether it's maybe it's a direct selling business like Mary Kay or Avon, every single one of those businesses is at its heart solving a problem. And I don't know how many of you have practiced your pitch, you know, that elevator speech they talk about. Solving the problem has to be in there. You have to be able to articulate the problem, how your business will change things, and who you're going to change it for. I hear so many people's pitches all the time. I help judge pitch competitions around the country with students who are at, Michigan State University, UNC, and all of this. And the first thing that we look at right there, and every investor that's looking at that looks at, is, can you articulate the problem? Can you tell me why you have the solution? And who am I trying to reach? So just really keep that in mind, that designing that thought process is really the strategy that you need to have, because it's what sets you apart from others. And the second one we talked about was people, and people are powerful. One of the things that entrepreneurs tend to think is that, and I hear this from some very learned people who have taught it but have never done it, because I've done it many times as an entrepreneur myself, whether it was a mobile tuxedo business or when I had tiny babies, I was making gourmet pizza dough in these bread machines. You all remember a bread machine? Well, I bought like 15 of them at garage sales. And my kids would go to sleep during the day to the sound of the bread machines going. But I took that gourmet pizza dough and I went to the farmer's market and sold it. I felt very alone, and it wasn't until I realized that there was power in people. And it wasn't my customers, it was other co-creators. It was other individuals who were also entrepreneurs, and when we got together, that's where the magic happened. So, why should you look for other people? Because there's always like, well, that's really nice, I'm not as lonely as you were as a stay-at-home mom, they always say. So why do I need to do that? Well, the reason is because people have resources, expertise, assets, or networks that you can use that complement yours. So often we think, what? I don't want to get together with a bunch of other people because they're my competition. They're not. They are perhaps your greatest gift. And so I thought we would look at what just some of those options are, because I think sometimes we forget. So first of all, I love the lady with the big calculator, because one of the things that often we are like, you know, there are parts of this business I just don't understand as well as others. You guys are in the financial planning business, so you understand numbers really well. But some of us over the years are a little more tactical. We're about the customer service or the marketing, or I'm a great salesperson. So I need to find people who have skills that complement mine. See this empty building right here? You're standing, this is a beautiful building, right? It's really it's the coolest place, right? Lisa, how long ago, was it a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
This place was an abandoned building, and didn't they talk about tearing it down
It was
at
on the
one point?
verge of being condemned. It had been through bankruptcy and foreclosure, and had been sitting vacant for 4.5 years.
Yep.
And everyone had torn out the copper piping, the ceiling was falling down.
Yeah.
They had left it like a moment in time. It had been a collection firm that was shut down by 8 different state attorneys general.
Yeah.
And literally when you saw it, it was creepy in here. It really
Yeah.
was.
I remember you saying, there are pigeons
There
everywhere.
were pigeons flying.
So,
Yeah, it was bad.
one of the things that we think about with people are we think that people are all about what's in here. And sometimes we also have to think of people have access, they have resources sitting in their pocket that aren't doing any good. And this building is a great example of where the city had a building that they were just gonna trash. And it became an opportunity to create a co-working site. And so when you look at assets out there, look for those opportunities. What is someone else's trash is your treasure. And that is something that we often forget when we look at people who are like, well, they don't have anything, they just got an old building. Why do I don't want to work with them. Think about what those opportunities are. And certainly what people's networks are. Has everybody heard of the 6 degrees of separation, like everybody's related to Kevin Bacon somehow? Yeah. So we are all interconnected, and thanks to the same technology that brought us the general this morning, we don't have to rely on the person that's in our town, in our state, in our country. We can leapfrog, and I think that's one of the great things that this new partnership here in Minnesota and bringing veterans this opportunity is going to be to get this network going where you get. So the general made the offer. Take advantage of it. If you don't go home today and look him up on LinkedIn and try to connect, or you don't say, here's my email, let's connect, you're missing an opportunity. And the last one is the one that everybody, I've worked in commercial lending with a lot of small startups, and everybody's like, oh, I need money. Can't start this business without some money. And people, where do people first go? What does everybody say? What do you think? I could go to the bank, right? And the bank doesn't like me. The bank may say that they like me as a veteran owned, oh, we love veterans. But then they say, now I need a P&L and I need 6 years of tax returns. And you kind of go, but I've been overseas serving my country. And they're like, oh, thank you for your service, but no thank you on the loan. And that's not true if you connect to the right financial institutions. But I want you to think of that in a broader sense. The people that you connect with have money resources. They have stuff. Maybe they can't give you $50,000, but maybe they can give you a free space to operate out of. Or maybe they can say, you know what? You can't really buy a fleet of vehicles, but I tell you what, I'll lease you those vehicles and I'll do it at a price that you can afford to get you started. So those are the kinds of things that people make possible. And I can't get over how many people have a bad experience at a bank or credit union or other financial institution and they shut down their business idea. Don't let that happen to you. Money is never the true problem. It's innovation and creativity that's the true problem. And the willingness to accept some risk. So the next one, of course this one's my favorite because I'm an educator, is knowledge. And the thing that we tend to do is we're so focused on all the good stuff we do. Like, I know how to do this, and I can do this, and I have access to this. And we don't think about what don't I know how to do well. What don't I know how to do well? You can't be great at everything. Nobody can be great at everything. So recognize that you don't have to do it all yourself. Don't have to do it all yourself. But if you're not informed, it's really hard to be a leader. Because this is where I see frequently people get taken advantage of. Because we're trusting people. And I think veterans are very trusting, especially because they have that team spirit and they can't imagine that anybody, why would somebody want to teach, why would somebody want to cheat me? Because we're all part of the same team. And so being knowledgeable is really important. So what I want to give you just some thoughts to broaden your expanse. The first one is, how many of you have heard, there's an app for that? Mm-hmm. There are lots of apps out there. There are lots of technological solutions to little things. And my good friend Lisa here is one of the great ones just at the university. I always hear things like, I'm sorry, we don't have the manpower to do that. You're a tiny cog in a giant machine, all those things, right? And I bet you've heard that too. Oh, you're too small a business for us to really, we don't want that small account. Look to applications to solve some of that training gap. There are great opportunities for that. And then there's nothing as great as having y'all in person, face to face, or behind a computer, connecting virtually and getting that. And Lisa's going to talk about some of the stuff that we do through Promise Education that can help in that realm. But get more training. And then the last one is that mentorship network, the connection, peer-to-peer, people who've done it before, people who, even if someone was unsuccessful, because I have people who say, I don't want to talk to the people who are really successful. I don't know a person who's truly successful that hasn't failed. So if you're looking for the person that has always done everything perfectly, you are wasting your time. You're going to hear sugar-coated, glossy, everything's always perfect. The first question I ask is, tell me about the biggest mistake you made and tell me how you fixed it so that I cannot make that mistake myself. That's really important. And then the last one, and this one is so important, and this is one that very few people actually talk about. Where return on investment. Now I talk about return on investment because I teach both traditional entrepreneurship, but I also teach social entrepreneurship, which is about sustainability of environment, helping build and grow people, as well as profit. So your return on investment happens in the process. It's not about what you sell, it's not about anything else other than the idea and how it gets to the right person. So, my favorite statement is, bad business ideas never get off the ground. I had a client, and I've told this story over all the years, when I was here at Women Venture in St. Paul, the woman came and said, I have the greatest idea ever in the history of mankind, and I've spent $10,000 getting it patented. It's sexual abuse-free long underwear for children. And I went, huh? Excuse me? I mean, it was a crazy idea. It had, and she said, I've spent almost $10,000 trying to get this thing patented, and it's not getting patented, and I don't understand why. It was a bad business idea, literally. They don't get off the ground, but if you have a great idea, it can still go really badly. It can still go really badly. And so many businesses, there are businesses that close up on our main streets because they were bad business ideas. They were great business ideas. But they disconnected to distribution. And things change over the years, and people change. I mean, my dad was in business, and when I said to him that I was going to make my tuxedo business mobile, he said, how in the heck can someone rent a tuxedo mobily? You go to the store and you try on the suit and all of it. I mean, and he just kept saying, like, what do you mean? And I said, well, Dad, they're going to contact me on their mobile phone, and I'm going to come to drive to their house, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to deliver these things. And he's like, people do that? You know, he's an old, I know.
And then she also went further and said, I'm going to do the side things during halftime at Monday Night Football.
Yes, I did. I went to Monday Night Football all the time. And so one of the things that you find out is there's a disconnect in distribution. You got to change with the times. So the biggest thing that I can share with you about this process is that you're not on your own. Too many entrepreneurs think they're on their own, and they don't think about the process in a collective environment. They think, how am I going to sell this product? How am I going to do this? Start to think about who the we could be. So I wanted to show you just some ideas, and these are based across all kinds of, it doesn't necessarily work for every product, but let's look at some of the ones. You can look at physical space. Co-working site like this. You could come here and work with other people and find others. You know, maybe in the financial planning world, you can work with attorneys or accountants. Maybe you set up shop and you say, you know what? Maybe we could rent some space in an assisted living facility. You never know. We could have all kinds of things. So there's physical space. And I know you're in the transportation business, and so think about that building with 4 wheels on it. Okay? I mean, it can be very physical. Everybody know what this is? It's the Target dog. We in Minnesota, of course, know Target really well. The thing that most people don't understand is that many a good company has actually started through Target, not on the store shelves, but actually through Target.com. And a lot of times you can put a product, for example, on Target.com, and if it sells well, because Target's watching you all the time with their analytics, and they say, hey, this is a really good product, we really like this. Can we sell it in our stores across the whole country? So, how many of you have ever been in a Sam's Club or something where somebody's demoing something? That's actually an audition for whether that product will be carried in Sam's Clubs across the country. You can be part of that audition process. So, this is my favorite because veterans fit so well into this procurement area. Government loves veterans. And they also love individuals from traditionally underrepresented groups. That can be women, that can be persons of color, it can be people with disabilities. So selling to the government is targeted very well for this population. Here's the problem. It's like they speak Chinese and you speak English. And part of what's happening with this new Veterans Initiative here in Minnesota is to try and help you with the translation factor, so that you can hear how to speak the language that government needs to do all the things that they do. And for those who have been in the military, you already get this in a great way because you use acronyms all the time in the military, and so it's not about that you can't learn that language, it's just sort of getting a refresher on what that language is. And then there is selling online. You know, you can set up your own, you can beta test anything today. It doesn't cost, how much does it cost to start a website, Lisa?
$9.99.
$9.99. So if you can risk $9.99 in a few hours of your time, guess what? You can open up a shop. You can open up a business online. And last but not least, I want to mention the elephant in the room in the world of distribution, and that's Amazon. And while I love Amazon because it's supporting my son through college, I will say that one of the reasons that you need to think about expertise is because there are inherent risks when you work with the biggest of big guys. And Amazon and other, I'm not just picking on Amazon, but it's the most recognizable. Sometimes, if you're not careful, you can lose the value of your intellectual product. Because if they can bring it to market faster, they may run around you. And I know we see this with inventors. In fact, that's a lot of what this afternoon's presentation is with the youth, correct? Is
Yes.
trying to help young people with great ideas not get end run by a big guy that's going to take their intellectual property. Because in this society today, what's up here means a lot more than the stuff that you have in your hands. And so the last thing, and I'm going to turn it over here to Lisa, is that we don't want you to go it alone. Don't go it alone. There are too many resources out there to be alone. Promise Education, this is what we do, in addition to helping people find the right education opportunity for them. And so Ms. Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself and to sort of finish us out here.
As Christine said, my name is Lisa Kinsey. We've actually been partners on many different levels over the years. We've been peers at one organization, and after that, I ended up going to the university system. She was my supervisor. She decided to go get a PhD, and I ended up becoming her supervisor. And then we opened a business together, so I've kind of seen the gamut with her. But it's worked well on all levels. And that kind of speaks to business in itself, because if you work well together, it really doesn't matter who's supervising who. It's really more of that camaraderie and that team building and respect for one another. And so as you look to build a work team, that's going to be critical as well. That being said, one of our projects is Promise Education. And we work with historically marginalized, underrepresented populations, students that are over 25, young moms that are under 18 who may want to be independent, you know, the veterans, certainly people who are disabled, all sorts of subpopulations. But what we do is to help you find the training that you want and need based on your career interests and kind of hone that in and try to find a program for you, whether it be a non-credit, 4-credit, could be a one-day class, it could be a 4-year program. But we don't charge for any of the services we provide. And the reason for that is when we were at the, excuse me, at the college, we discovered that there's a lot of people that, unless you navigated straight through high school and went straight to college, excuse me, of course, that a lot of people are not aware of how the system works, nor how overwhelming it is and the number of stop points along the way that can kind of railroad people into saying, I just can't stand the process to get through this. So we do a lot of hand-holding, we do a lot of mentorship when we work with people and students that once they do find a program, if it's more than very short term, turn around and work with mentors in the field. And rather than putting people with executives, we put someone with an entry-level person and have them coach along the way, maybe go to chambers of commerce meetings or area groups like that, so that they've got that network that they're going to build throughout their journey and then have great references when they come out of the system. So that's a piece of it. Another thing we actually do through Promise Ed is short seminars, sometimes like 1 hour, 2 hour like this. We do a long-term one as well. And that's strictly for entrepreneurs. Christine and I both were deans of entrepreneurship, and we both had been directors of small business development centers under the SBA. So we've had a lot of things that we've kind of on the same path, but at different times, actually. But what we've discovered is that most people that try to open a business in Minnesota, it takes a minimum of 8 to 12 weeks. There are so many hurdles to get through, and we got it down to the point that with the exception of doing a couple things online 48 hours before class, that we can go straight through the system in 6 to 8 hours, do everything from getting your business registered, give you a sample template for your LLC that can be taken straight to your attorney. You can get your bank account open on the spot that day, get your basic insurance in place, and also get marketing advice. So we do all sorts of projects like that just to try to help people out. And we're always thrilled. If someone picks up the phone and says, hey, I've got a group of 8 friends and colleagues that would like to do this, boom, we'll just do it, whatever Saturday it would be, things like that. But we do have a lot of offerings that we try to provide great value at very little cost and often free. So that being said, Promise Ed is just one piece of it. If you want to add anything to it, I'm kind of rambling on.
No,
I don't practice. I haven't been in the classroom in 2 years.
We're walking the talk in that people are important, so we
Yes.
know that y'all have started, but we really want you to help us build our network too. So tell a friend, the next time somebody says, I thought I might want to start a business. I know somebody who can help you. And as we grow the offerings here in this new Veterans Center, there's just going to be a lot more available to help people, and word of mouth has always been the best advertising ever.
Absolutely. And we do a lot of one-on-one business consulting as well. And I think we're both kind of guilty of doing a lot more free than we probably should. But as you're going along your journey particularly, look at some of the unique subpopulations. Like she said, even sometimes this assisted living center that's got extra space. Or dovetailing with a boutique real estate agency where they're looking at families who may have the cabin and things like that. They want to downsize and plan for what's our succession plan so we don't lose this should we have to go into high level of care. Look for partners that don't seem necessarily natural on the surface, but that you can work with quite readily. And I think that's the biggest thing that we try to always pitch out to people, is you don't know what you don't know until you're in the fire. And so we would just like to help you stay away from the flames.
Yeah.
So that's all we had, unless you have questions for us.
I have some business cards here for myself at the university. If you want to email me, ask a follow-up question, get connected to someone here in Minnesota that you can talk to, that's great. Of course, Paul, you're going to keep track of everybody, and we're just going to keep the conversation going.
And I think one thing we didn't touch on yet in this room is that of the resources out there, SCORE is a great resource. Now I will say that some chapters are more active than others. It's true. And so SCORE can be a great resource. Women Venture, there's MEDA, which is Metropolitan Economic Development Association. There's also ADC, which is African Development
Center. There's
Center,
the
yeah.
Metropolitan Consortium
Consortium of Community
of Community
Developers.
Developers that has a program called Open to Business. And in each of the metro counties, not Ramsey, you can actually get free assistance and connection to loan capital, small loan capital, especially like if you're trying to buy another vehicle. Perfect example of that. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't pitch the small business development centers. We hope to have a Veterans Business Center coming to Minnesota very soon, but In the meantime, the small business development centers, they are located from Duluth to Rochester and from Mankato to Minneapolis. So there is one in your area. I happen to love the one in Mankato because it's MSU Mankato's. And one of my oldest friends in the world is now the director of it. So remember that 6 degrees of separation I was talking about? It happens all over, and the older you get, the fewer those, it's like the older I get, my 6 degrees are half laughing. So reach out and ask for help. There's so many opportunities, and yes, there are lots of opportunities to pay for services, but there are also lots of low to no cost opportunities to get going. And
know when it's time to take that leap and actually choose to pay for something.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot that you can get for free, but there comes a point you may be looking for a subject matter expert in social media marketing. You might be looking for someone who can provide legal advice for you. That's the beauty again of like co-working centers and things like this, is that people start trading out services all the time.
yeah.
At a very affordable rate. And yes, people think if you barter, you don't have to include it in your taxes. You do.
Yeah. So, with that, do you have any questions? If not, Paul, can I turn it back over to you? Oh, sir, yes.
I've had so many people ask me, what's the difference between a small loan and a regular business loan?
Okay.
You know, where is that dividing line?
So the Small Business Administration has become the Webster's Dictionary of business definitions. I'm not sure that it's really true necessarily. So what happens is that banks will get guarantees, and I can probably say that as veterans, you get a higher guarantee, which is the sort of the taking the risk back from the bank so that they're not on the hook for everything if something goes south. And what happens is that there are thresholds of loans that banks can make without having to go up and ask the government, ask SBA for that. In most cases, it's going to be $100,000. For some institutions, it's $50,000, and we also see some super institutions will have upwards of a loan limit of $150,000. So one of the things that I advise folks when you go in and meet with a loan officer is to just ask that loan officer, may I, after you introduce yourself, don't ask this is the first one because then they'll get all a kilter, is to say, what is your decision-making authority? What is the loan threshold that you can make here yourself? What you need to take to your loan committee, that's within the bank, and what has to go up for, say, an SBA guarantee. And once you have that, you may structure multiple loans. Because most people don't think about the fact that you don't buy a house, a car, a boat, and send your kids to college all with one mortgage, right? You get all these different products that go in financial planning, right? You say, diversify, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I'm saying the same thing in loan world. So you can get a small loan for something that's very tangible, like a vehicle. You can then also get an operating line of credit for all the stuff that you can't touch. I'm from Detroit originally, so I talk like I'm from Detroit, and I say, stuff you can't repo. And so when you think about that, remember, they want your business too. So it's not all coming in and doing that. It's a consultative process. And if you ask good questions, you're going to find out. One of the things that I found out happens sometimes with larger institutions is you get the person that says, I don't have any decision-making ability at all. All I do is take your application and then I send it, I hit send, and it goes somewhere, not really sure where that is, and then they come back and they say yes or no. if that's the case, sometimes I say, if you know what you wanna buy, like I need to buy a 15-passenger van, I know what one I want to buy, I know all the information, and it's pretty cut and dried, that's not a problem. But if you're looking for a long-term partner to help you grow your business vision, you want the people part, not the transaction part. So you might wanna say, you know what, I'm not sure this is right for me. Is there anyone else at this institution that I could talk to? And if you don't hear the answers that you like, shop around. All too often we feel grateful for credit. And if you've got a great business and a great business idea and a super good process, right? Then they are investing in you. So if you go in with that kind of like, I know what I'm doing and I know what I have to offer and I'm looking for a partner, they're gonna trust you 10 times over the person who comes in, because the number one, never ask for $100,000, by the way. Best advice I can give you. Never ask for 100, ask for $99,000, ask for $101,460. Do not ask for 100,000, because that in banker speak is a clue that you don't know how much you need. So, I hope that answered your question.
I'll add to a little bit here. If you're looking for a micro loan, the standard is kind of $35,000 or less. There are several institutions that will do that as well. Not every bank loves to do their 504 loans through the SBA because there is a lot more paperwork to it. But again, like Christine said, it's usually about a 95 to 97% guarantee depending on the population. But also with that being said, when we talk about getting loans, again, you've got to ask the right questions. I'm working with a small client right now out of Burnsville, and she just is opening a restaurant. And she found herself a little bit tight the first few weeks. Cash flow is not quite there with trying to go buy products at Restaurant Depot, and rather than going to get another loan, like she could have quite easily, she was like, oh no, I talked to my banker the other day. I said, okay, credit union banker or a large bank banker, because there's a big difference there in attitude and again with the ability to make a decision. Well, let's just say it's a large bank, and that bank told her, well, you have a $5,000 overdraft line of credit. So if you only need $4,000 or $5,000 and you think you probably only need it for 28 days or less, why don't you just use that line of credit to your checking account? To which I said,
and write bad checks.
And write bad checks,
The bank
essentially.
just said write bad checks.
Because why? Because they make money out of that, of course. And I was just like, I just froze, and I was like, did you take her up on that? And she said, well, I was just thinking about it to go get more products along the way. And I was like, you're better off going on the backside, even if they charge you 10% interest, knowing that it's a loan, knowing that you can pay it off even as a personal loan over 1 year, than that. And she said, well, but my banker told me. And I said, again, they get that self-serving interest sometimes. You gotta be really careful.
Yeah.
We've seen way too many people over the years get really, really crappy advice. So you just have to be buyer beware.
And it's not, I do want to speak because I have great relationships with banks and credit unions, is that often it has very little to do with the overall bank and it's the individual.
Yes, absolutely.
You can get good advice, you can get bad advice, and so that's why I always say shop a little bit. Because you want to know how committed they are to you, not when you need money, but then when you're making money and you're ready to take the next step.
So yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other
Enjoy.
question?
Well, thank you.
Thank you.